Hey everyone, welcome to Two Car Pros. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to show you how to replace all of the rear light bulbs on a Ford F-150 from 2004 to 2008. We're going to be covering our Cyclops lights, our third brake lights, and our reversing lights, our brake lights, and our turn signals for those, which the brake lights and turn signals are the same bulb. Links down below in the description to regular halogen replacements if you just want that stock OEM look, or if you're looking for something a little more high performance. I'm also going to be leaving links down to the LEDs that I used and have found decent success with. Either way you go is a solid replacement, and this is something super easy that anybody could do in their driveway. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, what we need to do is open the tailgate. And we're going to be working on the passenger side today. It is exactly the same for both sides though. Then we can take an 8mm socket or wrench if you want to be frustrated, but a socket's going to be easier. And we can remove these two bolts. Oh, already getting jiggly, so maybe hold the lens with your left hand. There we go. You can see these they're a little bit interesting. They don't have like a regular thread. They're kind of like a chunky thread that goes into plastic. And then we can remove our lens. So on this lens removal, the only thing you really need to do and keep in mind is you want to move it towards the rear of the vehicle. This one's kind of falling out, but usually they kind of get stuck and you might have to fight them a little bit and then they'll go plunk and come right out. And that is because of this little prong right here goes into this hole. Mine's missing the little plastic keeper that kind of holds onto it, so mine come out quite easily. Apparently you don't really need them though, so we're gonna rock not having them. What we can do on the back of the taillight is just actuate the bulb holders counterclockwise, and we can remove our lens. So on these bulbs, it's really easy. All you have to do is grab the bulb and the base with your other hand and just pull it straight out, just like that. Super, super easy. There's your part number for your bulb if you want to replace it with just a bulb. However, if you do just use a bulb, never ever handle it like I'm handling this old used one. Actually, I think this one's the burnt out. Yeah, it is burnt out, look. A dark spot on there is usually a dead giveaway. Never handle the bulb with your hands like this, wear gloves or use a paper towel or something when you're maneuvering the bulb back in place. And then it would just slot in just like that. On these halogen bulbs, it doesn't really matter which orientation you put it in, but the bulbs I'm replacing it with do. So this is my pick for a replacement unit. It is an LED. It is insanely bright, and you might be wondering what the heck this box is. In the wire, this is a resistor pre-built into the wiring harness, so that's pretty neat. And it doesn't plug in directly. It actually plugs into the socket just like a regular bulb. And these actually do matter, so they have a polarity on them, positive and negative, and if you have it in backward, it won't work. So what we can do is just take a guess. It's 50-50. Right? Yep. And just insert that, and then I'm going to put it in a way that you guys can see it. And I'm going to try turning on the headlights. As you can see, the LEDs are working on the sides and down the top, so we got that correct. Very cool. So then the reversing light, exact same thing. You just pull it out like that. And see how it can be a 50-50? All the tangs are in there because the bulb's not the same. But this is our replacement unit. Again, it's LED. Actually, I don't think it matters on this one because it has electrical connectors on both sides, so I don't think you can get this one wrong. And again, you really don't want to touch any part of the LED that actually lights up or accumulates heat. So just do your best not to touch that, or wear gloves, and then we can put the truck in reverse with the vehicle off to make sure that that functions. Also, while the truck is in reverse, as you can see by our reversing lights, make sure your parking brake's on as well. But it works, so we can put it all back together. So now we can take our light bulb sockets and put them into their homes. There's little slots on the socket themselves and on the lens, so you just gotta line those up just like that, and once they are lined up and slotted in, you just rotate clockwise until you hear that nice thump, and then that is in its home. Now, because we have the brake light LED with the resistor built in, it's a little bit different. We don't just put the socket in like we done that one, unless you had a regular bulb, and then you would just do exactly the same as we removed it. So we're gonna feed that into the truck a little bit, and then we can take our LED. Then we can take our LED, and there's no like slots or tangs or hooks or anything like that. So it just kind of push it in and it seals itself in its spot. Be careful with that because it can come out rather easily, but you have a lot of slack, so you should be okay. And then when we replace the lens, we want to make sure that there's a tang right here. There's a peg right here, and it goes in that hole, and there's one here that goes there, and a plastic one here at the end of my left fingertip that goes into right here. Unfortunately, mine has broken off and gone away. You know, these are older trucks. You could replace the lens in that situation, but I'm just going to replace it as is. So we can just feed those 3 prongs into their home. They might fight you a little bit. It might kind of struggle right here and then just push forward and it'll kind of go click or thump right into its spot. Just make sure that the bolt holes on the left side, on the inside, match up. Make sure our bolt holes are nice and lined up, and we can replace our 8mm here. Hold the lens while you are snugging these up. Now on a torque spec, not very tight, like wrist tight. Like watch how not tight I'm tightening this. That's fine. As long as it doesn't go anywhere, it's all good. If I had to give you a torque spec really low, like 5 or 7, very low, because you're screwing metal into plastic and it will just pull the threads right out and then you have to get a new taillight lens. So on your third brake light on your F-150, you just need to remove these 2 Phillips head screws using a Phillips head screwdriver, and then we can remove our lens. The lens might be stuck on here pretty good, especially if it's been on here since day 1. So, you know, using your fingers and prying it up might not work. What I found work, I'm not going to show you with the towel because it'd be in the way, is just use a screwdriver in between the body, and then you're just going to peel this up, and it's kind of going to go as the seal is breaking for the first time. Then pull it straight backward toward you, so that way these tangs don't break because they go in this hole, and if you try to, you know, just do this with it, it's just going to snap those off. And then we're exposed to the back side where the bulbs live. We can take out the socket by twisting it to the left and removing the bulb, and this is the bulb itself. We can just grab it and remove it out of there and set that aside. So you can't replace that with those bulbs. I will leave a link down below in the description. They're just a regular automotive bulb. They're super common and very inexpensive, but I want to upgrade to LEDs just because look how hot that bulb is getting. It's melting this socket. So we can just grab our LED and place it into its home. Looks awesome. And then insert the socket back into its home, lining up that slot right there with the housing. That's what that slot should look like. And then you insert it and turn it to the right. And then it is installed. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do that for these 2. It's exactly the same procedure and the same bulb. So those 3 are now replaced. Now, if you choose to use a conventional bulb like this, never ever ever touch it with your regular fingers. You'd have to wear a glove or use a paper towel or something because you don't want your human oils getting on this glass surface and heating it up, creating hot spots, or I've even been told it can cause fires, and we just want to avoid that. So we can see both of the side of the Cyclops lights are working. Now we need to test and make sure that the third brake light is working. There we go. So with the brake pedal depressed, you can see that the third brake light is now working. Again, I had to go through a couple more of those LEDs. Not that surprising. So all 3 are functioning, which is awesome. And then to put this back in its home, it has those 2 tangs right about here where my fingers are, and those 2 holes. We can just find those, slot that in, and push it down. And we can replace our Phillips head screws. Now these you just want to make wrist tight. I don't really have a torque spec for you. I'm sure you can figure it out though. It's just screwing plastic in the middle, so just use your better judgment. That seems perfect. Make sure it's not going anywhere. And it's not. It is absolutely perfect. So on these LEDs too, halogen bulbs, it doesn't matter which way you put it into the socket. It really doesn't matter with a halogen bulb, but LEDs, they are polarity specific. So sometimes when you have an LED and you put it in the socket, you know, you just put it in and it doesn't work. Try taking it out, flipping it over, and plugging it in the other way, and most of the time it works. That's what I found worked with these. So even in direct sunlight, we can see the difference. These are very bright, especially the reversing light, as opposed to our stock ones that are just regular light bulbs. They work fine and all that, but they're not going to be as bright. And I don't have the brake depressed either. I just have the headlights on. So this is what it looks like significantly brighter, which is always nice. So as you can see, significantly brighter. Honestly, it lights up the entire street. Thank you so much for watching. That is how to replace all of the light bulbs on the rear of your 2004 to 2008 F-150. If you have any questions, please leave them below. If this video has helped you at all, please leave it a like and consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.